So I honestly think that's the best song you've ever written. I really do. I mean, the lyrics are remarkable. And as I wrote you when she sent it to me, what I love about songwriters is when they write songs that catch me off guard, that go to unexpected places, that melodies that suddenly go there when you expected it to go here because logically it felt like it would go there. And that's what I loved about this song. It just kept going, which makes sense because it's called On My Way to Where, right? So it just great. So at the beginning of the song, the first lyric is, I'm at the beginning of a brand new path. So this whole song is about being willing to be on your way to where? I don't exactly know. Every person that joined our center today, every person that joined this spiritual community today, you made that step. You know, where this will take you, I don't know. Where we will go as a spiritual community together, I don't know. But I do know this, because I have such strong faith that wherever that where is good. And when I say good, I don't mean the good that is opposite the bad. What I mean when I say good is that energy that will always be creative and expansive and forward-moving. You know, good and bad, they're just things we as the human side of our experience has decided. This is good because I like it. This is bad because I don't like it. But this could be good for someone who likes this, and this could be bad for someone who doesn't like your good. So it's all just a matter of, individual process. And yet, at the end of it all, there's only that which serves me, that which expands me. So every person here today is on that journey, whatever that journey is. We're at the top of the year. We just did our first 3 weeks of the first 3 chapters of The Science of Mind. Today we'll conclude with the 4th. And what I've come to understand reading those first 4 chapters over again is that Ernest Holmes really was a rebel. He really was quite a mind in a time that wasn't really ready for his mind. And I would say the same thing about Jesus, and I'd probably say the same thing for any renegade, that most of the time a renegade is someone who understands something, is willing to stand in it, even when everyone else is having a hard time with it. I think that's one of the issues with the I Am God movement. Taking God out of the sky, out of a dualistic understanding, and putting it into me, into my heart, into standing in and as me, that's not as easy to get across in a world where most people are very comfortable with God being out there taking care of things, because we all like being the child that is taken care of. And I don't think, did someone say no? And I don't think that that's necessarily still false. Because that which is God, that which is me, is still that part of me that always takes care of me. So it's just bringing that understanding into an understanding individually that actually makes sense to me. So this year, this month, is Discover. And lest you forget our little slogan, I discover the unseen in 2019. I discover the unseen in 2019. So what does that mean? Well, what that means to me is that we start to understand that everything that shows up started out as the unseen in my conscious mind. That the life I have created began in my mind. Does everybody know that? It's like a picture I'm looking at now. But that's the truth. That's what we teach. Everything starts in mind. You want to find out why this is here? Back it up to see what's in mind. Where did it come from? And if you look at the entire world, you have to look at the collective consciousness of the entire world to see why the world is where it is. Now, the question is, you may say to yourself, well, if the whole world is this way because of the whole world's consciousness, how can one little consciousness do anything about that? Oh, because one alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a complete majority. You're like, what? one alone in consciousness with the infinite. Do you know what that means? That means when I stand in my truth, I am God, I am the consciousness of the universe, I have the complete majority. Because I am now not just, where is that? I am now not just a drop in the ocean, I am the entire ocean in a drop. That's a huge paradigm shift for most people. If you've been in this center or any version of this center for a long time, then your paradigm shift is easier moving. But let's just say some of you just came in here today for the first time. If you've never been exposed to this, you may be coming from a possibly a Christian or a Jewish background that does not see it this way. And when you hear, I am God, it's almost like saying, I am a Martian. And I have arrived here to teach you. And you could be looking at me thinking, wow, he's lost it. Because that's where you could go with this teaching. But it's really so simple, because I go back to my Catholic upbringing. Here I am in Catholic grade school, St. Bernard's, Northeast Philadelphia, sitting in a room, a nun in a very big outfit. Big outfit. I'll leave it there. She says, and you repeat after her, where is God? God is everywhere. And so it is. God is everywhere. I have to be part of that everywhere. Are you out, Rachel? Are you outside of that everywhere? No, you are part of everywhere. Except we understand now, no, I am the everywhere. It's not that big a leap, folks, from what the Catholic Church taught me at 7 to what Ernest Holmes began to teach me at whatever age that was, to where I have arrived at 64, understanding the depth and breadth of who and what I am. So my talk title today is, Where Are You Going? Where are you going? So I have a little story for you. So when Kevin and I first moved to Los Angeles, we moved here with two of our best friends, Reverend Jamie Klein and his wife at the time, Lynn Klein. And they had a son who was our godson, Gareth Klein. Gareth was not 1 year old yet, I think, when we moved here. So a couple of years later, we were having dinner in our kitchen. Now, our kitchen at the time was right by the front door. And Gareth was off doing something, and we're sitting at the kitchen table, and all of a sudden, this little diapered 2-year-old comes walking by the kitchen. We hear the front door open. We have a little window here, and we see this little diaper walk out onto the street. Oh, into the driveway. We didn't let him get to the street. So you had to see 4 adults jump out of that table. Like, Gareth, where are you going? And he, without missing a beat, turned around and he went, San Diego. Well, we were dying laughing, but we were like, sweet, no, you're not going, come in the house. You know, and we got him back in the house, and I think for years now, for these, what is he now, 22? 22, about to be 22. We always talk about this. Where did the consciousness of a 2-year-old decide it was going to San Diego? And more importantly, where did the consciousness of a 2-year-old decide he didn't need any of those adults in that room to take him there? And he didn't need clothing, apparently, nor did he need shoes. He just was going to San Diego. And we didn't even think he could actually reach the doorknob and open it. And he's just walking by. It's really funny if you think, you're just sitting there eating, you're like, oh my God. You run. So my talk title, Where Are You Going, really kind of goes back to Gareth. Is there something in you that knows where you want to go, but perhaps you're not as conscious as Gareth was? Perhaps you have too many ideas of what it will take to get there. I doubt he had any idea how he was getting to San Diego. I don't even know if he knew what that meant, San Diego. But he was going there. And frankly, that's our job, to hear where the universe wants us. And I don't mean wants us in terms of like a divine destiny. We've done destiny this week in class. I don't mean that. I mean that there's something in us that impels us, that moves us, a divine intuitive force that always gives us the next step. It's up to us consciously to decide where that is. But Gareth did that. San Diego. So where's your San Diego? And do you need to know exactly how to get there to start the journey? Because that's what Donya's song's about. On my way to where? Doesn't matter. Are you on your way to the highest expression of you? There's a destiny. There's a destination for you. The highest expression of you. And you don't even need to know what that is, do you? You don't. But you have to believe and know that this world is ready to take you and create the best you it could ever imagine. That's the truth. That's the truth of your life. That's the truth of this teaching. And it doesn't matter what steps you take, just that you take the steps that authentically feel are yours. And how many of you possibly, and don't raise your hands, how many of you are possibly every single day taking steps that really aren't your authentic steps, that have you in a kind of a rut, that have you moving in a direction that you decided at some point was yours to take? Is it still? You got to check in on that constantly, consistently. Is this still I constantly say, is this still my job? Is this still the highest and best use of me to be a minister? The answer comes back yes. Thank you. It does. It always comes back yes. Even when there are so many things I want to do, I would never want to do them if I had to leave this. But there's a lot I can do while still doing this. I totally understand that. So, chapter 4, how to use the science of mind. So here's one of his quotes. One of the great difficulties in the new order of thought is that we are likely to indulge in too much theory and too little practice. So this is to all of you great thinkers out there that work overtime trying to figure things out. I had a girl, in teen camp, you get a family. And you get a family given to you as a what are we called? Advisor. Thank you. So I'm an advisor, and I get a family. I was also handed you're usually handled in the very standard way, a wife. You know, there's a mom and a dad, and then kids. This time I got a mom and a dad and me. I guess I was the grandfather, and kids. So you get a family, and this one little girl, so bright, so brilliant, a screenwriter, wants to be a screenwriter, and has already written a couple movies at 13. And at one point, we were asking, what do you need to look at? And this little 13-year-old, I don't say little, this beautiful 13-year-old mind shared with the group. She said, I overthink everything, and I want to stop that. At 13. And I think I made some joke like, at 13, you're overthinking things? And she just looked at me, she was like, yes. And I could see her little mind thinking about me at that moment. And, but for all of you overthinkers out there, what Ernest Holmes is trying to say is, once you get it, and by the way, you already got it, so you don't have to kill yourself to try to figure this out. This isn't that hard. You're God. Your mind thinks. As you think, you create. As you believe, so it is done unto you. And go. That's this teaching. By the way, that's what Jesus taught. That's what all the great thinkers taught. So there it is. You don't have to think about it anymore. So those of you that really spend oodles of time trying to figure this science out, trying to figure out how's it going to work for me, how am I going to create this? It's much simpler than that. And what Ernest Holmes says is to do what Gareth did. Just start walking. Just take the next step. Take the next step. Trust me. Just like is it Star Wars, Kevin, that I always talk about when you take a step out there and then the thing shows up? Indiana Jones. Same movie, different name. Same actor, different movie. Thank you. No, I like mine. Same movie, different title. So that's what happens. As you walk, the ground appears. But imagine if you are the type of person that will not take the step until it appears. But it doesn't appear until you take the step. Oh my, you are stuck. It's the same thing. Your good doesn't show up till you're equal to your good. So if you're waiting for your good to show up so that you can be equal to it, you stand stuck. But if you know your good is you, it's who you are, and you think from the good, then you take the step and, oh, look at that. I am walking. Nothing is causing me to plummet to my imminent death. So that's what he's saying here. He says this, he says, we must be compelled to do more than announce a principle. So I hope you see in me someone that does not just announce a principle. I'm not interested in standing up here week after week after week announcing principles of Ernest Holmes. I think Ernest Holmes is one of the great teachers of the world, not the only great teacher in the world. I think there are many and current teachers that we need to be listening to and growing from. But I don't want to just announce it or discuss what everybody's saying. I want to live it. And I hope you can see that, because I do. I spend every day conscious of living this teaching, living it to the best of my ability, depending on the day. That's where we all have to be. If this is going to be a year of discovery, we have to be willing to take this teaching and live it so that people can Harry Met Sally us. You know what I'm saying, right? If people aren't pointing to Bear and saying, I'll have what he's having, then Bear needs to rev it up a bit. Although they are saying that because he just like aced his law test and like, yeah. And didn't you win some award too?
I did. I got a Cali award.
For?
I set the curve in a class.
I am so happy that one of the people that joined the center today will be a lawyer who sets curves. That works for me. So that's what we have to be willing to do, to step out and be the very thing itself, not just announce a principle, but be it. He also says, it has been proved that by thinking correctly and by conscious mental use of the law of mind, we can cause it to do definite things for us through us. And by a conscious mental use of the law of mind, we can cause it to do anything. Consciously thinking, we give conscious direction to it. So every time you think, you are giving direction to your life. And I know you've heard this. I'm not saying anything new, but I am saying it from a place of newness for myself. Everything I'm thinking is directing my life. Everything. Last night, Kevin and I went to see the amazing, brilliant Bernadette Peters in concert. And her second song caught me off guard. And those on my Facebook page know it because I posted it. When she started singing the Stephen Sondheim song from Into the Woods, and she sang, "Sometimes people leave you halfway through the woods." Top of the second song. I had a whole another hour and a half to go through this concert with no intermission. And I am just a basket. And I was so surprised. Usually Kevin like grabs me or something, but I think he might have been in the same mood. And I had to consciously take my mind and decide whether I was going to enjoy the rest of the concert or go down a road of sadness and grief. And I chose to enjoy the concert. I did. I actually spoke to Nora in my head. I was like, okay, got it, and now I've got to watch Bernadette. And the third song, she got up on the piano and sang Fever, and I was like, well, that was easy. I mean, and she, I can say her age, I guess everybody knows it. Never mind. So she's like my age, and she was on that piano in a slink little Bob Mackie with legs galore, and just laying on the piano, and I was like, that's what that age should look like. And it did take my mind off of it. So what caused me to stop being caught in the grief? Me. Not just Bernadette singing Fever, because I'd already done it before that. Me. Taking my mind, knowing I had a choice, because how many of us don't know we have a choice? We think we don't. We think when something like that comes up, it's grief. My daughter passed away just recently. It's only been 2 months. Of course you feel this way. I can give every reason possible to let myself go into that, but it's still my choice. And I didn't. And then, of course, almost every other song had some reference to something that would be applicable. And I just smiled and really enjoyed the evening. So that's how you use it. We have to give conscious direction to our mind. It's as simple as that. That whole chapter of how to use it, that's all it is. You get to direct your mind to do exactly what you want your mind to do, what you want your life to do. You get to decide it. You want success? Direct your mind towards success. Stop thinking about everything else possible. You want health? Stop obsessing over what's possibly wrong. Saturday, when I woke up in camp, I will say, bless you, or cough you, I will say, when I got to camp, Connie had given me a suite, one of the executive, where they put the, I guess, dignitaries, which I've never gotten before. Clearly, I'm equal to more these days. And but it was at the top of the building, up a hill. And Eric came to drop something off in my room, and I felt really better when he walked in going, yeah, because he's quite a few years younger than me. And I think I said something like, gee, that doesn't wind me out. And so there I am at the top of this, but it's a beautiful room, and it was gorgeous. And I have no idea where I was going, other than to tell you that there was the room. So that's how to use it. So I decided right then and there that I was going to be healthy because I was feeling like I was getting a cold. Do you ever have that time when you're like, oh, here it comes. I'm getting a cold. But I was like, I can't get a cold. I'm at teen camp. I have like all these kids. And I am the mental health advisor in this camp. I can't stay home and just take care of my cold. What if someone has a breakdown and I'm not down there? So I just looked in the mirror and I went, no. That's all I have to say to my body. No, you don't have time. And by the way, not only do you not have time, this doesn't mean you have time on Monday. Because you do that too, play games with yourself. I'm going to be fine. I'll fall apart on Friday. Time for the weekend. So, that's how you use it. He says this, the time will come when we will let our conversations be in heaven and refuse to talk about, read about, or think about those things that ought not to be. So the time's going to come. How about now? How about this year, 2019? How about if this year we stop talking crap? Anybody want to join me on that? Yeah, we stop having conversations with our friends and neighbors who may not be in this teaching and allow that conversation, well, they're not a science of mind person, so I'm going to talk about government for right now for a while. Why do we do that to ourselves? When, if we really believe that what we're processing here is going to show up out here, I don't want any of that stuff showing up out here in my personal experience of life. So this chapter has a lot of great advice from Ernest Holmes. He says, perfect belief is the beginning and the end of all good mental work. Perfect belief. So that takes me back to where are you going? What do you believe about that? What do you really believe about your life? Do you believe you have the capacity to direct your life anywhere you want to take it? You may think partly you have that. You may think, half of you may think that. How much of you believes that you can direct your life anywhere you want it to go? That's the belief he's talking about. Pure belief. Perfect belief is the beginning and the end of all good mental work. So, how do you get to San Diego when you're 2 and on foot, albeit barefoot? Well, it's a good question. Gareth didn't need to know the answer. He just started walking. And he got some help to come and help him not go to San Diego in that particular moment. But I'm sure in a 2-year-old's mind, he may have also wanted some attention from the 4 adults that were sitting in the kitchen. I've thought of that over the years. And boy, what a way to get it. Walk out the front door in a diaper and bare feet. You're going to get attention. So where do you need attention? Where do you want to go? Well, you just have to go there. In conclusion, Ernest Holmes said this, a new light is coming into the world. We are on the borderland of a new experience. The veil between spirit and matter is very thin. The invisible passes into visibility through our faith in it. A new science, a new religion, and a new philosophy are rapidly being developed. True thought deals directly with first cause. And this science is the study of first cause. We study spirit, we study truth, we study that invisible essence, that ultimate stuff, and that intelligence from which everything comes. And he says, I call that the power back of creation, the thing itself. So if Ernest Holmes is going to say that a new light is coming into this world, and he said it in 1927, don't you think we have the responsibility to build on that? To make sure that that light expands? Because he called it the thing itself. I call it you. Nothing outside of you. You. God is, I am, and San Diego awaits. Namaste.